Good morning, guys, and welcome to Saturday of week 13 of my marathon training program. All right, looks like today was 78 degrees out this morning. I think it was about 76 when I started. I didn't record it, but that's probably about right. It certainly felt good, way better than I have in weeks as far as temperatures. All right, humidity is only 35%. All right, let's take a look at what we have here, and what a great week it's been. 72 hours. All right. Wow. Off the top of my head, that seems like, what, 3 days? Yeah, something like, yeah, just under, right? No? I don't know. I can't do math very well. All right. 16.13 miles. Average pace is 8:07. My battery's going to die here soon on my camera. That's fine. And give you guys a real quick, let's see. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh. Alright, I kept my 53, which is good. And give you a quick idea as to what 16 miles worth of steps look like. Okay. 24,000 steps just about. Alright, that works for me. Time for my shower. I'll meet you downstairs. Hey guys, good morning and welcome to Saturday. Long run day of week 13 of my marathon training program. And as you saw when I first got back, I actually ran a long run. All right, how's that for a hat trick, eh? Especially considering all the challenges I've been having during this entire training program. And wow, you know what? I didn't look this up before I started this video, but I don't know for certain if maybe once early on that I actually even run 16 miles while in my training program. So and that if so that was even early on. Definitely has not been over, definitely has not been in the last month or two. So definitely kudos to that. But before I begin, I've got tons to tell you, and I'm watching the time because I'm trying to keep this short. Otherwise, I can just go on, and I'm certain I'm certain you guys, while enjoying this, you just don't want to make it the afternoon of this. So before I start out with my daily shot of wheatgrass, let's go ahead and get the t-shirt part out of the way. This is from my last PF Chang's, well, the last time I ran that event, which was the 2012 PF Chang's Rock and Roll Marathon here in Phoenix. So that's what that shirt looks like. There you go. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and start with our daily shot of wheatgrass. Wow, that's actually kind of sweet, but not as sweet as the chocolate milk I finished while researching everything I'm about to share with you. Definitely not as sweet as that cup of coffee I finished drinking while researching everything I was about to share with you. And, well, sweeter than the water I've been drinking. So the water is the only thing wheatgrass totally trumps. So, with that, let's get started. As you saw, I got back. I definitely, you might say, did pull a hat trick. For somebody who wow, I would say, what, maybe 8+ weeks? 8+ weeks, I've not run more than maybe 10 or 11 miles for one issue or another, seriously. Just out of the blue, pop out, and I delivered 16 miles for you guys this morning. Well, mostly myself, but you get the idea. And I clearly did not follow the 10% rule that, as some of us know, a lot of training programs suggest to only increase your mileage like 10% per week, that kind of stuff. If you haven't heard it, that definitely tends to refer to a lot to the beginners or the occasional marathon person. But clearly for somebody like myself, and maybe for you guys, who have some relationship with the marathon, some relationship with distance running, I tend to bank on muscle memory. And so spending the last 8 weeks knocking out maybe 10 miles or 11 miles or so max, and then this morning just pumping out just over 16, no big deal because I had the muscle memory. In addition to that, Tuesday and Thursday, totally spanking runs. I definitely had some phenomenal runs. And the hat trick is 3 in a row because today I had a phenomenal run as well. So let's go ahead and show you. So the only reason this keeps doing this is because I could sit there and do this and lock it out to where this is like static, but it kind of shrinks up my screen. That's why I extend it that way. Anyhow, 16.13 miles total. I spent 2 hours and almost 11 minutes doing this. Average moving pace, including warm-up mile, was 8:07. Not too bad. Spent 1,755 calories, and without using my calculator, oh, that's just almost about a half a pound for those of us who are interested in that kind of stuff. And Garmin says it was 81 degrees and cloudy with 39% humidity. I think honestly, and I should have recorded this, but I think when I left this morning it was 83 per Google. Was it really cloudy? No, honestly, there's clouds like in the horizon or off in the distance or things like that. But I mean, like enough clouds in the horizon to where how when the sun comes up in the morning, the clouds just extend how long the sun comes up before it actually beams on you because it doesn't beam on you first thing in the horizon. That kind of thing. So clouds off in the distance. Other than that, I can't really say it was a cloudy day. If it was, I'd like some rain. But anyhow, so it's definitely, and I don't know where you guys live. Do me a favor. In the comments below, just post like the city and state that you're watching this from. So I have an idea where my friends are at. And I like to call all of my subscribers my friends because in all reality, I choose to believe that friends support their friends with their journey and their interests, things like that. And so, so in the comments below right now, go ahead and just put the city and state that you're watching this from so I have an idea because you clearly know where I live. And I like to know if 81 degrees is a challenging temperature for you or that's an easy temperature for you. So give me some idea because as you've been watching, I spent too many miles at 99 degrees of hell and clearly before monsoons kicked in and the mornings cooled off a little bit, my mornings were definitely warm. They were definitely in the mid and upper 80s, if not lower 90s. And so 81 degrees or whatever it truly was outside was truly a noticeable gift. So with that, look in the green, that just shows elevation. So for the most part, it was relatively flat for the most part. The blue, as you guys know, is my pace. I think the gap here is just because, again, crossing streets with traffic and all that. Looking through heart rate, not too bad. At least the nice thing real quick with the pace is at least the pace is pretty consistent, so I'm happy there. Heart rate not too bad. Just a quick sneak peek. It only peaked out towards the end about 165, 166, maybe 168. Okay. So overall, the heart rate, that's the hat trick part. And when we look at my cadence, oh wow, what is this, Morse code or Braille? I mean, what is this? Yeah, again, I'm still dealing with, not so much with the calf pains as I have been dealing with, but just right now, I guess right now it's kind of progressed into, I would call ankle pains. Because it's not so much in the ankle itself, but like in the foot complex, like in the bone structure, just achiness. But it's getting better, and after the first mile or two, it kind of warms up. But clearly not enough because my stride doesn't chill out. It's kind of all over the place. And when we go into my average pace, you can see the goal was to run an 8-minute mile. And with the fact that I kind of hit 16 miles planned as long as my body was up to it. I was okay between an 8 and 8:10 because of the distance. So I was giving myself some flexibility there. And shy of mile 5, which was 7:58, and that again, it's just kind of like, you know, it seems like the magic numbers, mile 5 is where my body seems to warm up, really, really warm up. And then, you know, after that, not too bad, you know, with my average pace all the way down. I have mile 11 highlighted for a reason. And mile 11 is the first mile where I left the 150 heart rate zone. So that's really impressive, because when was the last time you saw me do any kind of distance at about an 8-minute pace in the 150s? Maybe for the first 2 or 3 miles, but not for 10 of them. So progress is being made. Now, we look here, and we see from mile 11 on, things progressively got worse. Not too bad. Yes, mile 16 was 165, okay. Maxing out at 168. We can see mile 17 was still in that range. But we're dealing with, you know, we're dealing with accumulative fatigue. And in addition to that, I don't know about you, if you guys have ever, you know, if you guys have ever noticed this, especially for those who maybe are data junkies like me and love to record all this kind of stuff. But I've noticed, and you can see here, you figure for like the last 8, you know, or I would say, without looking up my history, roughly for the last 8 weeks, I haven't really done more than 10 or 11 miles. And so I already have a running base established. My body's conditioned to run that kind of distance every Saturday. So it's gotten good at it. Now I take it beyond that, and this is where you might say where the real training begins, because I have not yet to condition my body to run 16 miles every Saturday. So yes, energy, you know, energy stores, we got more depleted. You know, maybe there's some dehydration there. Maybe economy and efficiency start to drop. Mostly, I would say that mostly in the cellular level. Not so much I lost my ability to run well, but just my body's ability to constantly and continuously, you know, deliver the goods, you know, mile after mile, you know, minute after minute, things like that. And so this will see change. This will see change as I continue to run 16 miles or so every weekend. This will continue to change. And we move over, and you can see, based on my little braille line from above, yes, my strides were kind of all over the place. But I'm slowly getting back closer back to that 180 magic number of mine. You know, getting into 181s, I'm happy with that. So my legs want to get back out there. And so this here shows me I'm healing, and I'm happy with that. We go over a little bit further. Not too worried about stride length, you know, relatively consistent. And my average miles, my average calories, yeah, mile 9 was a good one. I was starting to drop a little bit, of course, and then after that, you know, what was it? No, mile 10. And then after that, things started to pick up again. And these definitely correlate with the heart rate. Now, this next part, it kind of took me by surprise. And when we look at my stats, what do you know? Another 5.0 aerobic threshold day. Wow, 5.0. We did one of those on Thursday too. And personally, I thought today's run was an easy run personally. But probably because of the heart rate in those last 6 miles, just kind of did it. And this number again will drop week after week as I continue to run 16 on the weekends. So my training effect, do I keep interjecting aerobic threshold and training effect, those terms? Sorry. You gotta love the mind after a long run or any hard run. So yeah, this is going to drop because this should be more, honestly, this should be more like in the 3 to 3.5 range. It should be like easy peasy kind of long run stuff. So so that's kind of like that. And let's see, not doing too bad on my time, kind of. Now, with the run part out of the way, and since I don't have another 16-mile run to give you apples and apples, I'm not going to sweat it. I'm not going to pull up another 10-mile run from last week or 11 miles or whatever, because I don't think it'd be a really good comparison. But to keep things on point and to try to keep this as short as possible, on Thursday, because of time, yes, sadly, I did not have the time to tell you about my training and my next race and things like that. I know you've asked. I know Clark, my friend Clark, who again, one of us who subscribed, he's asked me about it, and I promised I would tell him during phase 4. And so this is the scoop. When I first started this journey, I signed up, I paid for, I bought the airline ticket for this event here. Oop. The Revel Big Cotton Marathon. This race is based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And the reason I chose the race, yes, you look at this, when you look at the screen, you think, oh, he's just chose a downhill race. That's got to be fun, easy. However, we look here, yes, it's downhill, but it starts at 9,700 feet. 9,700 feet. Now, anybody who runs marathons, and if you follow like the elite runners and Runner's World, things like that, they go out to, oh, I can't think, was it Big Lake, California, or Bear Lake? Was it Bear Lake or something like that? I apologize. They go out to the elevation in California, or Ryan Hall had even spent some time here in Flagstaff training, back when he was still running. And a lot of these marathon guys, elite guys, tend to train in elevation because it gives them like a 1% edge or 2% edge from the oxygen level at at high elevation compared to relatively sea level. So they train that. I don't have that kind of training. So 10,000 feet, almost 10,000 feet, even on a downhill, might provide some sort of challenge for me. And you see, even that, it finishes up about the 4,500 foot level. So while it might be downhill, there's still elevation to deal with. But anyhow, so for those who think, oh, it's a downhill race, there's two reasons I chose this race. First of all, we look here, and the race is scheduled for September 9th. Yes, in the 3 weeks from now, I'd be running. And the September 9th also happens to be the last possible weekend before Boston Marathon qualifying opens up the following, I believe it's Monday or Tuesday. It opens up the following week. Boston Marathon opens up for registration. And that was why I picked this race, because when I decided to run a marathon this year, I wanted an event. First of all, nobody wants to run in the heat, but I wanted an event as close to the Boston Marathon registration week. I wanted a race as close to that as possible so that I would have as much time during this calendar year to get ready for that. This is why I chose that race. That was number one reason. The number two reason is this. I'm going to play this video. Yes, I got not so much trouble from YouTube, but yes, I have my video set to monetize. But don't worry, you guys probably, you guys aren't going to see commercials or any ads on this for a long time, because per YouTube, I need 1,000+ subscribers before they'll even start posting ads. So that's what they tell me, anyways. So I had to demonetize my last video. No big deal, because I posted that stuff on Eric Pritz. So if you guys like that, please let me share that with me as well. But this video here is the number two reason that sold me on this event. And before I click this, yes, I will post the links for everything I'm sharing with you today. I'll post all those links in the description box. All right, so that was the race I was going to race. And if you liked that video as much as I did, that video sold me on this event. Because despite the downhill thing, yes, it's the weekend before Boston Marathon race entry opens up, but I fell in love with the video. Because, again, despite the downhill thing, just being able to run through the mountains like that, being out there, that would have been the first time I had ran a marathon, like, be it in the mountains or in you know, basically not in a city. And that just looked fun and beautiful, and it sold me. It really sold me. Yes, I'm a big fan of smaller events like the 2,000 to 3,000 max kind of, you know, marathon race people events, those smaller ones, because they are more intimate. And you know, of course, for those of us who want to get out there and get into our own groove and not be bogged down by the traffic of slower runners, finding your own spot on the road in something like that is a lot easier, usually probably within the first mile. And the reason I say that is because when I ran the Phoenix Marathon, in 2013, I was the same event. I think the full marathon, I think they claimed about have maybe 1,500 or 2,000 max finishers. And I remember starting out, you know, we all just kind of found our place because there's no corrals. And we took off, and I would say within the first mile, there was so few people on the road per se that within the first mile I was able to kind of get in my groove and not have to worry about trying to, you know, zigzag through the traffic. And so that's, you know, that's a real feature, you know, or that's a real something that really grabs my attention. I mean, it really draws me in, so I like that. Now, so yes, now the reason I'm not running this race is, yes, while you might say, no, there's nothing great about training per se, it definitely doesn't look promising, but in all reality, it comes down to work. It turns out that in September, me and a bunch of people have been asked to do some cross training within my department where I work, and so for 2 consecutive weeks over there, I'll be in training with my job, and they've totally blacked out, you know, any prior days off or vacation days we had. If I didn't want to accept this opportunity to learn more and you know things like that, then I could have continued on as is. But this would have been taking this training would have given me a chance to better position myself, of course, you know, to move up and pay raise and things like that. And so well, that, and it was kind of like I had no choice. I had to. They didn't say, "Would you like to do some training?" They said, "We're appointing you guys to work on this special project, and you're going to do some training, you know, for 2 weeks for that." So I got stuck with that. So yes, that's a real downer, and that is legitimate, and that's for real. Now, there's 2 things I really lost with this situation. Yes, I lost out on my plane ticket, non-refundable. I didn't think about spending the extra $20 on the refundable option, because who cancels out of the marathon? Well, the way this entire training plan is going, I should have planned for that, but I, of course, didn't know all that because I committed myself to this before the training plan began. So I didn't imagine I was going to have 13 weeks worth of bumps and bruises trying to train for something. So didn't see that one coming. Yeah, sadly I lose out on that. Lose out on my ticket. Yes, I can cancel the hotel, cancel the car rental, no big deal. To my good fortune, though, it turns out that the Revel Marathon series, bless their hearts, they're going to allow me to transfer my my enrollment in from the Big Cotton Marathon into another marathon, which I could do later this year. So yes, sad but true, I lose out on my Boston option for next year. Sad but true. But it's going to be later this year. So I have, as of now, well, as of my my big cotton race, I'm going to have 9 additional weeks to prepare for this. Hoorah for that. It's going to be, again, it's going to allow me to qualify for New York next year. And it's going to be close by. It's going to be Mount Lemmon, Arizona. Mount Lemmon is really a location, it's not a city. It happens to be, Mount Lemmon happens to be outside of Tucson. Tucson. Can't go wrong with that because Tucson from my house, depending on where you go in Tucson, is about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. It's, and again, mostly freeway once you get on the freeway. So it's not too bad. So don't need a plane ticket to go there. I'll definitely drive. You know, I didn't spend money in Utah on a hotel and car rental because you know you only pay for that when you actually use it. So I didn't lose out. So yeah, I don't need a car rental this time, because I got one, and then I'll just get a hotel, which is fine. So I'm doing Mount Lemmon, and when we take a look at Mount Lemmon, this is the first year these guys are sponsoring this event. Yes, it's another downhill race for those who are going to sit there and knock me about running downhill. It's only 7,800 feet, so not as high, and of course comes down to 2,700 feet, which is kind of about probably where I live anyways within the Phoenix stuff. So not too bad there. No, they don't have a video because true, all but true, this is the first year they're running this event. And again, this is November 12th, later this year. So again, that gives me 9 extra weeks. Clearly, this week has definitely been a great hat trick week as far as a real turnaround in training, and I believe this is really where the training begins. This is really where the training begins, because I've seen kind of stuff like this before where you're like, oh my God, things aren't coming together, and then you just have that one magic week that all your numbers start to fall into place, and then from that week forward you continue to progressively improve on all your running and racing, on all your running and training performance. So I really believe that, and it's almost, to me, this is almost kind of like if anybody who's raced cars or motorcycles in the past, years ago I spent 3 years on a track road racing motorcycles, like the road racing where you full leathers, you drag your knee around the corner, that kind of stuff. And if there's something I learned from that experience, was that all motors, all engines have what you might call a power band. And anybody who's seen a tachometer goes from 0 to 8,000 RPMs or 12,000 RPMs depending on the machine you're using. And the power band is not the band of RPMs closest to red line. It's really not. The power band is a range of RPMs to which your body or your machine or your motor seems to get the most performance. You get the highest torque for the RPMs you're delivering, things like that. It gets really snappy, be it the twist of the throttle or the foot pedal. And sometimes that power band is between 2/3 to 3/4 or so of the total RPM range. So, and that power band, like I said, is where you seem to get maximum response, and performance out of your machine. Now, with that said, I believe that I finally hit my power band with my training. Yes, I've been nursing injury for too long, sad but true, but this last week has been a real turnaround because, like it or not, I chose to find ways to train through my injuries so that I didn't lose on any progress I had gained before. And you can see this week has been a real blessing as far as turnaround on that. So that's why I believe, the following 3 weeks of this 16-week marathon training program, I'll continue to improve on that. And then again, I have 9 weeks after that. So in essence, you might say I have 12 weeks. You can't go too wrong with 12 weeks. Now, my dear friend Clark, who, again, like you guys, subscribes to my channel, and if you read any of the comments below, he's shared with me that he's got a race, he's going to do a trial run race in, I believe, October, Clark, and then the race he's been sharing with me about will be in March of next year. And so, as I share with him, you know, in 3 weeks from now, in 3 weeks from now, I'm going to treat that like my trial run. And I'll sit there and go out and do my run and things like that, but I'll sit there and push it just to see exactly what I would have had that been my marathon. And then use that as a means to improve from there. And just like I share with Clark, this race he's got going in October, I share with him to go ahead and train as if that's the race he's racing for or he's training for. And, you know, plan to make that his race, and then after he races it, learn from the race itself, the results he's gotten, and this way he'll better prepare himself for his March race. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here in 3 weeks. I haven't quite figured out all the ins and outs of that because, as you know, sometimes I just kind of, you know, go by what my body says and go from there. So you might find me having a super long trail race or canal race or run on Saturday, but we'll see. Now, a couple other things I want to share with you guys before we go, and I apologize, I know this is getting lengthy, is this. First of all, why is on the run feel so important? I bring this up because I noticed today during my run, and again I was kind of banking on muscle memory and things like that. About mile 13, I started to feel it. About mile 13, I started to feel it, and you know, mile 12, mile 13, where I just felt not so much I felt my blood sugar drop, if that makes sense, because I felt my brain start to get sleepy. Clearly, between hydration and my energy storage, my body was still delivering the goods, so not too much concern there. But I noticed my brain was getting sleepy. And yes, mid-run feeling would have been a real blessing. No, I didn't take anything because I've done 16-mile runs before on straight water and without worry. Although, yes, you know, be it that I didn't build up to 16 miles, I went from like 11 to 16. That probably definitely played, you know, had a role, played its part on things. Because normally, if I haven't run distance in a while, I might go 10, 12, 14, 16, you know, build up. But now, this time, I kind of went from 11 to 16. So, I noticed myself getting sleepy, and I thought to myself, oh, you know, I would have loved to grab a few, like a gel pack, or, you know, or goo gel or whatever, and I didn't have it. And so, I share this article on why is run feel so important. And again, all this stuff is going to be in links in the description box, so you guys can read this on your own. But something I did do, and I don't know if you guys have ever tried this, let me know. Something I've done, and believe it or not, it makes a difference. Run with your eyes closed. This sounds completely ridiculous, but if you could see the path in front of you and there's no obstacles, there's no people, it's pretty much straight, close your eyes and run for 5 strides. Open them up, blink, close them again for 5 more strides. And believe it or not, if your brain cannot see all the stimulus of the lights, the colors, and all that, you're actually resting your brain and your body's just moving. Weird. I kid you not. And I would do that, anytime I kind of need a little pick-me-up, so to speak. And that kind of really helped out. You know, and again, I didn't do that like the rest of the way home, but it kind of got me through that little rough spot. And again, I was still really nursing my camelback, so I knew I was hydrated. But that kind of got me through that rough spot. And that's why I share this with you. Why does the run feel so important? And again, this basically talks about, you know, we all burn about approximately 100 calories per mile. As you saw, I'm more like, right now I'm in the 108 range. So it talks about that. Now, I also share this other article with you, which is very important. And this one is from Harvard Medical School. And something, I spent too much time looking for this article, there's something I thought was in Runner's World, but I couldn't find it for this video, and I don't know if it's on the internet anymore or what, but there was a study that there was an article I read years ago that mentioned that sucking on a piece of hard candy, during your run, and again, when you have sugar in your mouth, we all know that people that do chew or dip, they'll shove it in their lip. Why? Because the inside of our lip has blood vessels, and it can absorb stuff, which is why people put their dip there. And you could actually, by keeping sugar in your mouth, you can actually, to some degree, absorb the sugar through the inside of your lower lip and let it go directly to your brain before it gets, instead of having it get digested and processed through your stomach and your intestinal tract. And so it allows your body, allows your brain to receive some amount of, instant sugar, but also the experience of sugar in the mouth. The fact that, we have sugar in our mouth, it triggers the brain to let the brain know that you could spend the energy because we're getting more energy. And so your brain will allow you to spend more energy because it knows you're getting more of it. So that's a nice little trick. But most importantly is because our brain only burns sugar for energy. And you can see here, glucose, a form of sugar, is the primary source of energy for every cell in the body. Because the brain is so rich in nerve cells or neurons, it is the most energy demanding organ, using 1/2 of all the sugar energy in the body. Yeah, 1/2 of all the sugar energy in the body. What does that mean in short to you and I as runners? Well, we know that proper training, we're teaching our body to break down fat for energy. Though it's slow and meticulous, it can be used to some degree. Fine. However, our brains cannot use, per se, fat for energy, especially the way we run. It needs external sugar. And so by even just sucking on a piece of candy could be enough to trigger the brain. Not only does it quickly wake it up, but it triggers the brain it triggers the brain and tricks the brain into giving the body permission to spend more energy. It's kind of a neat thing. But so I'm going to post this article here too, although it does talk about the brain in general and how sugar and things like that affect diabetes. Definitely a decent read. And then here's another one. We're talking about fueling up for long runs and things like that. Sugar and endurance. And this was what I found to be interesting. And it says research shows that when a runner consumes high glycemic foods like white bread, ice cream, or high sugar energy bars an hour before a run, he or she may become fatigued more quickly. In a recent issue of Journal in Science and Medicine in Sports, researchers found athletes performed significantly faster 45 minutes after eating a low glycemic meal rather than a high glycemic meal. A low GI meal would be an apple with peanut butter or steel-cut oats. Consuming the high GI foods an hour before a run was causing athletes to experience a sugar crash, while the low GI foods were carrying the runners further and faster into the run. Kind of interesting there. So it's nice to know that while I just mentioned having like a piece of candy, yeah, the piece of candy is going to trick the brain, especially when you need that little trickery, and of course help wake the brain up. But for the long haul, yes, your low glycemic index foods are definitely going to be a plus. And so I thought that was a valuable article, especially because clearly now my long runs are actually long runs. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. And before I go, I want to share this. I thought this was good too. How to do a long run and still be able to get off the couch later. Okay, so this comes down, it shares a lot of good tips, onto how when you do your long runs, on whatever long run day you do, that afterwards you're not on the couch or you're not crashed out an hour later. So I thought that was a good read as well. I want to share that with you guys. So, oh, I know this is just killing me today. So that's all I've got for you today. And if you like today's video, please hit the like button. Certainly comment below, as I asked earlier in my video, as to where you guys are at, city and state, so I have some idea as to where my friends are at. Because this helps me to better understand what kind of weather conditions you might be running or training in. And so, post any questions or comments below, and Clark, I'll answer your comment, your question here afterwards. And no, there's no such thing as too many questions and comments. That's what I encourage of you. If you have questions or comments, please leave them. I'm here to address them. Because I'm sharing my journey with you, and if something comes up, please let's talk about it. And so, last but not least, if you're new to the video or new to my channel, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday I post a new running video. Tuesdays are my interval days. Thursdays are my tempo/threshold days, and of course long runs are on Saturday. Normally, if you're new to my channel, normally I try to keep them within 15 to 20 minutes, ideally shorter, but that never happens. But today's definitely gotten away from me because I had a lot to share with you guys. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. Until then, have a great day and take care.